Hi everyone, I'm Todd Nauck. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So for today's art video, another chapter of coloring this big X-Men group shot. So today we have a twofer going on. 2 X-Men for the price of 1. We're getting Bishop and Dazzler colored in this one video. So let's not waste any time. Let's turn the camera around and let's get to coloring. Okay, so last time on The Art of Todd Nauck, we colored Jubilee and Storm. So let's position this image here in shot here, and we'll start coloring Bishop. So I'm going to start with Bishop's skin tones. I'm going to start from light or dark to light. So I'm going to start with some E17 and just hit the darkest parts of his face. So we've established in all of the other videos, if you've been watching my other videos, then you know where the light source is coming from. It's coming from above, maybe a little bit to the left. So we're going to put the darker shades on the opposite sides of that. So on the bottom or somewhat right. Anything that is overlapping is going to give a little bit of a darker color. So let's move down to the E15. A little bit, it's a next stage lighter in this E1 family, the E17 to the E15. And now let's come in with an even lighter shade, the E13. So going over the previous colors with the newer color blends it all together real nicely. Just leaving a little bit of the white of the board as it's very small highlights. He's a little further back. We're going to get less detail in him, much like with Storm and Iceman and Archangel. The further back they go, the less detail, but we still get some detail. So it's a fine line that can be walked, and I kind of make that decision as I go. So let's color his jumpsuit. So we're going to go for some shades of blue, kind of a darker shade of blue. So I'm going to start with the B97. We're going to work dark to light for his suit as well. So I don't want it to be quite as bright as, say, like a Cyclops shade of blue, so we're going to go a little bit darker. We also don't want these blues to compete too much with the Beast down here. So I'm going to use different shades of blue for Bishop's uniform. So starting with the B97 as the darker shade. Always considering the light source. And then just working with that as kind of like a base idea. So hopefully you saw here I just added some blue right here on the thighs. So now we're going to lighten up to a B45. I'm going to pull through that darker shade into the white area to get some nice gradation of blending. Still leaving a little more white of the board, because I'm going to come in with some lighter shades of blue just to get that really nice X-Men blue sort of feel. But I want to give a majority of his uniform these muted blues, because he's from a dark future where mutants have it even worse than they do today. And he's on a mission to keep that dark future from happening. So I'm going to give him a little more muted colors, not quite the brightness of today's X-Men uniforms. Though there will be a little bit of that. There will be a little bit. So let's come in with some B14 to finish it off. This will be a little bit of a brighter shade of blue because there is just still a little bit of that X-Men, classic X-Men feel to his uniform. just a little bit. So this is the B14 that I'm using. Just still leaving a little bit of the white of the board as kind of a shiny highlight. There we go. That's the blues of Bishop's uniform. So let's see. For his hair, we're going to use that B45 again as kind of a base color, much like we did with Jubilee's hair, creating kind of that sense of a bluish black. Not comedian Lewis black, but a bluish black. So that's a little B45 again, and then we're going to come in with a little neutral gray 4 and go over that blue to create a bluish gray. So very subtle look there. So let's color his neckerchief, and that's red. So we're going to start with one of my favorite reds, the R27. As a base red. Gonna add a little bit of a darker shade, the R56, just to mute that red out a little bit. Finishing with some R24. Not leaving much of a highlight here on this neckerchief because the cloth really wouldn't have that much of a sheen to it. See a little spot here on his chest I missed, so I'm just going to drop in a little of that B45 again. All right, next up we have the yellows of his uniform. So going to keep that pretty traditional X-Men yellow. So the Y13, going to start off with the Y13. Put the yellow in his belt here and on the pouches. Then we're going to come in with some Y21. Just to give it a little bit of a darker shade through there. So another little spot. Sometimes you miss spots, and then as you color, you start to realize, like, oh, that part was supposed to be his chest. So put that little bit of blue there, that B45 again. Now let's see, let's color his, let's see, did we cover all the yellows that we needed? I'm gonna add a little bit more of a darker yellow here, just to kind of differentiate him a little bit more from Kitty's yellow. So this is some Y19. Just kind of darkens that up just a little bit more. Let's come in with some neutral grays for his rifle, his plasma rifle here. So it's going to come in with some neutral 4 for the bottom part. Let's do some neutral 2 as we move further up, blending in with that neutral 4. And then just to mix it up, give it a little bit of a different color, I'm going to come in with some BG90. It's kind of this light army green. Nothing too drastic, but I like that subtlety that it can give. All right, let's drop in some shadows on Bishop here. So we're going to start with some cool gray 2 for the yellow areas. So the shadows are going to fall on the opposite side of the light source. You always keep that in mind. So bottom sides and a little bit to the left. or anything that falls underneath. Like his arm covers over these parts of the pouches, so a little heavier shadow. This part would be behind Kitty. Roughly, it kind of just helps delineate Bishop from Kitty by just adding a little more shadow there. All right, so that takes care of that. Let's go a little darker for the neckerchief, going to the neutral gray 4. Let's go to some, I'm sorry, cool gray 4. I said neutral gray, I meant cool gray. I probably reflected that in the, probably labeled it with the proper code in the corner there. So cool grays, I mean cool grays, not neutral grays. So now some cool gray 5 for his skin tones. It's a bit darker shade. So underneath the eyes, underneath the nose, maybe that top lip there, a little bit on that side of the head, coming down the jawline there. Behind that cuff of his glove. So Bishop's coming along here pretty well, pretty nicely. Okay, so that takes care of Bishop. That was a pretty quick one. So let's continue on and let's color up Dazzler, 1990s era Dazzler here. So we'll be moving the board up and down to keep her in frame. So let's start with her skin tones. Going to start with some lighter skin tones. Going to start with the E00. And she's putting off a bit of a light source, so I want to try to keep that in mind as much as I can. She has a smaller figure, so the details will not be as prevalent as like was say like a Kitty Pryde, but we'll still try to work in some details. So that was the E00. Going to come in with a little bit of E01. So just hitting the broad strokes, like the cheek, under the eye, a little bit here on the top of the chest, a little bit here underneath the cheek, under the eyes, on that bridge of the nose, just a little bit. And give her a little bit of the rosy color in the nose. So a little, just very, very subtle, just some R11, a little bit in the cheeks. Heck, even there on the side of the cheek there, a little R11. All right, let's color her blondish, strawberry blondish hair. So it's got a little bit of a red to it, not quite a Jean Grey red. So we're going to start with some E84 as the root of her hair. So I'm going to start blonde and then see if we can strawberry it out a little bit later. Then we're going to go to the Y21. There we go, getting that little teeny tiny strip of a highlight right through there. Just pointing with the tip of the marker, I'm not actually coloring, just right through there. All right, now that gets it to a pretty strawberry sort of look. I'm going to come in with a little bit of that Y19 just to kind of deepen the darker blonde out just a little bit more. So it's not like a bright blonde sort of hair. All right, now she's got this leather jacket. Let's see, how do I want to approach that? I'm going to approach that a little similar to Bishop. So we're going to use the B97 again. Going to leave a good chunk of white through here because I really want to get that leathery highlight sort of reflective look. So I'm not going to use a lot of this B97. some, but not a lot. Gotta remember there's a star that goes there. I almost colored that blue. That would have been unfortunate. Okay, so next up, a little B4-5, much like I did with Bishop. Let's carry this into her. This design is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if this is part of her jacket or part of her bodysuit. So I'm going to kind of split the difference. Forearms, we're going to split the difference. Just a little bit of blue here inside of her hand where she's generating her light show, her lasers. Just a little bit of blue. I want a lot of white in there to really show that her hand is lighting up. So let's see. So I'm going to power this over to the B04. It's that brighter shade of X-Men blue. I'm going to color over these other colors, leaving a lot of that white there for that light, reflected light there on the leather. Sometimes I reference, you know, clothing textures and materials and study how does the light fall on that? How does that look? So study real life. Look at real life photos. Look at, you know, clothing catalogs. And study the different textures of the clothes and how light and shapes are formed on the clothes. It can really help make the clothes you draw on your characters a little more believable. Just a little more hint of accuracy. Now I forgot to add a little bit of this B4-5 here. So I'm going to just add a little bit there in that hand. Again, this hand is powering up with her light show lasers, so leaving some of that white, just some. And then the cuffs of her gloves, we're going to make this B04 as well. And her pants. I'm going to start those as B04. I'm going to put a sheen, a highlight through her pants because she's a rock star. She'd probably be wearing some sort of reflective, shiny pant, trouser look, depending on what part of the world you come from. I know here in the US we say pants, but I know pants can mean underwear in other countries. So trying to be mindful of that. Let's see. Let's come in with some B01. It's a much lighter shade of blue. I'm going to blend that B4 in as we go into this more of the white of the board. Do this in the cuffs of her gloves as well. I'm going to put some of this B01 through her white t-shirt here as step 1. Step 2 is to bring in some cool gray 1 to color over that to give it that bluish gray, like we did with Storm. Did we do that like with Storm's hair and Iceman's power signature? Okay, so we need to bring in some yellows. So we're going to start with a Y13. Using a lot of Y13 in this image, but that's just one of my favorite go-to yellows for superhero costumes, especially the X-Men. Probably use it for Superman, Flash, any color character that has yellow on their costume. I'd probably use this Y13. Let's bring this in with some Y21 now. I'm going to further we move away from the light source, or we have overlap, that's where I want to put a darker color. Put this inside of the X logo belt buckle. Bring in some Y27 for the belt buckle itself. And just leave it. No, you know what? We're not going to leave it at that. We're going to bring in a little R56. That was so the R27. Hopefully I didn't say Y27. Get my numbers mixed up. And the now R56. Pay attention to the codes I post down below. Don't just listen to what I say. 'Cause sometimes I say the wrong one because my brain is all over the place. Sometimes I'll say the wrong code. Hopefully I didn't do that there. So let's color her eyes. We're going to just drop in a little tiny blue. So small, little B12. Some light blue eyes. Now we're going to color her shadows. So I'm going to come in with some cool gray 1 for the skin. So underneath the eyes, on the bridge of the nose, on that cheek, under the chin. A little bit more in that t-shirt there. We're going to power this up to cool gray 2 for the yellow parts. So underneath that part of her jacket logo, on this side of her belt, and the belt buckle, a little bit there, a little bit on this side. I'm going to take it to a cool gray 3 here for her hair. Closer to the root, or anywhere where the hair flips over to create that depth. I'm going to use this cool gray 3 underneath her eyes, just to give it a little more shadow. Now let's take it to the cool gray 4 for the blue areas. So underneath the belt, underneath this belt, through the pants here, or trousers, as we have established. It's just going right here through this part of the thigh. Sorry I wasn't on screen, gang. The knee, the shin, the boot. Actually, we need to add a little blue to that boot. I'm going to drop in some B45 in there as well, so it matches her leather jacket a little bit more. Leather jacket, leather boots. A little more gray through here. Still working that C4. Hopefully I said the right code. Like I said, look at the codes I post on the video. They'll be more accurate than what I say most times. There through the cuffs. Maybe a little bit in the top portion there of that logo. Maybe a little bit more here through the buckle. Okay, so next up is her laser light effect. So much like with Jubilee, when I inked this, if you remember in the inking video, I used different colored pens for the different colors of her light effect. So it gives it that more ethereal sort of look, and lets the body look more solid and this look more like light. So let's see, I have some green here, so let's go with a kind of a vibrant green like the YG03. All the spots where I used green ink, I will color with green Copic. We have some reds here, so we'll use a little R85. It's kind of a pinkish red. And let's see, come in with some YR12. A little bit of an orangish color here. Want a bright color, so we're going to use some of this pink, some RV13. For the big sparkle there. Same on this part as well. Hopefully that was all in frame. Now for some blues, we're going to come in with some B01. A little B01 right down here as well. Let's come in with a little bit of Y06 yellow right there. Maybe put a little bit of this yellow in the green. So hopefully that was on screen again. I do apologize. Okay. So we just leave it at that for her light effect as far as the colors go. Now what I want to do is come in, much like I did with Jubilee, I'm going to add some little white highlights, some little sparkles here. Sparkle it up. With some Uniball Signo white gel pen, just dotting some little white highlights in, maybe even over her hands a little bit. Just gives it a little bit of flair and flavor. You know what? I didn't color her lips. I have a little tiny highlight on her lips, so we're going to tackle that real quick. A little RV32, a little bit of a pink to drop in right there, just to fill that out so it looks complete. And gang, that is Bishop and Dazzler. So let me flip the camera around and we can sign off. Okay, there we go, gang. We've got Bishop and Dazzler added to the big group shot. We are getting real close to the final stages of this illustration. So thanks for hanging with me. Just a few more videos to go. In fact, next up, Gambit and Rogue. One of our favorite X-Men couples. I know one of my favorites. So that'll be in the next video. So gang, please do feel free to leave me a thumbs up and a comment. I appreciate that support. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. And if you're on any of the social media, so am I. And all my links are listed in the video description below. Hope y'all had fun. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. And I hope you keep on drawing. And I hope you keep having fun. Take care, everybody. Till next time. Bye-bye.